Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Mike Anderson. My guest this week is Chief Game Warden Bob Timian. Bob, we're going to talk about some of the enforcement issues during deer season. Deer season starts Friday, November 8th at noon Central Time. Your wardens are going to be busy. What kind of calls do they normally get at this time of year?
This time of year, they'll get calls for possible violations. They'll get calls. Occasionally they're going to call somebody lost their license. Just if you can think of it, they probably get a call on it.
Some of the more common violations during deer season are tagging violations. What kind of things are hunters doing that are in violation when tagging?
Well, the tagging rules is fairly straightforward. You shoot your deer. Once you get up to the deer, you put your tag on it. I mean, that's one of the first things you should do is put your tag on the deer, and then you don't have to worry about it. I mean, there are people who intentionally don't tag their deer, and then there are people who, because they don't put it on right away, get busy with field dressing the deer and loading it and just, the general talk, and then all of a sudden they're down the road and the tag's still in their pocket. That does happen. Now, when the warden stops you, he's not, he doesn't know when you're intentionally failure to tag and when you just made a mistake. I mean, obviously most people are going to say, "Oh, I just forgot," and even if they didn't. But that's one of the things that we find, and so we just tell people, it's also the easiest to tag right then, because before you get into field dressing your deer and you get blood and hair and everything's nice and clean, the tag goes on fairly easily. So just do it right away like you're supposed to.
So tag it even before pictures.
We would suggest that, but certainly tag it before you move it.
If you're going to transport somebody else's deer, you need a permit.
Yeah, it's a transport permit. You can get those from the local warden, or other law enforcement officers can get you those. Because during deer season, wardens are busy. If you need a transport permit and you know you're going to need one, say tomorrow, and you got the deer today, call ahead of time, get a hold of the warden. He can make arrangements to get with you and get you the transport tag. Don't wait till 15 minutes before you're ready to leave calling about a transport tag, because I can almost guarantee you the warden's not going to be there in 15 minutes. So a little pre-planning is good on your part.
Okay, another question we're getting a lot of with these chronic wasting disease units. There's 3 of them. Let's go into a scenario, Bob. If I harvest a doe in one of these units, what do I need to do?
First of all, if you're hunting in any of those units, I would go on the Game and Fish website, go to the CWD proc, and read through what the regulations are. That's number one. And then if you have questions after reading, call the department. We'll walk you through it. In simplest forms is that in the CWD units, you cannot take the head or the spine out of the unit. So that has to stay. Now, depending on how you want to dress it, you want to quarter it out, you want to bone it out, the carcass tag still has to stay with the meat. But the head as a whole, now on antler deer, should you want to get them mounted, you can remove the skull cap, but then you have to clean all of the tissue and matter off of the skull cap. Has to be cleaned to bring it out. So that's real, in simple terms, that's what you need to do. And we would highly encourage people in those units to take that deer head and drop it off at one of our collection sites. And that has 2 benefits. One, to everybody in the department, because we want those samples to test to see, if there is movement of CWD or not, either way. And then also, as the hunter, you have the assurance that your deer will be tested, and should, in the relatively rare occasion that it be positive, we would notify you as soon as we knew that it's a positive, and then you can decide what you want to do with the rest of the deer from there. But so it has both to your benefit and the department's benefit that you drop those heads off at our collection sites.
Okay, so if If I harvest a doe, I drop my head off at one of the collection sites. I can take the meat, if it's quartered out, to any butcher shop in the state.
Yeah, along with that carcass tag, yeah, you can have any butcher shop that will accept the meat. You can take it to them and have it processed, or you can do it yourself.
Okay, another question we get a lot of is retrieval. Explain that law.
Under state law, which is, the state law, it's a real short law. It's only one sentence long, and essentially all it says is that a hunter that shoots or kills an animal, shoots an animal in an area where they legally have the right to hunt, like I'm hunting on my property or your property with your permission, and it crosses over into someone else's property, I have the right to go over there and retrieve it. Now the key here is it's a retrieval. You can't continue to hunt, so the guns can't go with you, because then by definition you're still hunting, and you actually only can retrieve the animal. That doesn't mean you can walk around all over the property, and it's simply that you have the right to go retrieve that animal. That's all it says. Also, but as part of that, to try to maintain hunter-landowner relationships and avoid conflicts over this, if we tell the hunter, especially if it's posted property, obviously, if it's posted property, that it would be a good idea to contact the landowner and let him know that, hey, this is who I am. I was hunting over here. I've got a deer that's down on your property. I'm going to go retrieve it. And as a courtesy, and if the landowner is adamant that you don't go in there, even though you have a legal right to do so, we suggest contacting the local warden. We don't want this situation to escalate into some kind of situation that would not be good for either party, so the warden can come there and hopefully facilitate the retrieval of the deer.
Your wardens sometimes get calls on off-trail violations. What are off-trail violations, Bob?
Well, during the big game season, you cannot drive off-trail to hunt deer. You have to maintain on trails. But, and Mike, you bring up a really good subject, especially this fall. Now, we're taping this a few weeks before deer season, and it probably won't show till deer season, but as of right now, I don't think there's anybody in the state that isn't aware that we are really wet. So all those, some good gravel roads are getting soft, trails are soft, fields are wet and very soft, so travel and access by vehicle right now is difficult, other than on very good roads. And so hunters need to be aware of that and avoid going down places where they're going to tear up roads or fields, because eventually they'll probably just get stuck. To be very aware of that. Now, by the time this airs, the situation may have improved. We may be a little drier. Certainly, potentially everything could be frozen, so the ground and the roads are now hard. And if that's the case, then access will be a little easier. But at the same time, we need to remember that there is an awful lot of standing crop out there this year for the same reasons. Landowners have been under a lot of stress. So if the conditions improve, that also potentially could mean that there'll be a lot of farmers moving harvesting equipment around trying to get those crops off finally. So you need to be aware of that. So even if conditions improve where the hunter has access, it also means that the farmer is going to have access to his field. So if you're out there in the country, be aware that there could be a lot of harvest equipment moving around trying to get that late harvest off and give them room.
Be respectful.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you see a violation during deer hunting season?
See a violation? Call somebody. Call the RAP numbers, state radio. All our warden numbers are published. The Game and Fish, all our wardens have cell phones. All the office here, if it's during regular office hours. But give somebody a call. Give a warden a call. Give the local warden a call. Give us a call, as soon as you can, because the sooner we get the call of a potential violation, it certainly ups the odds of us being to apprehend the person should there be an actual violation.
And we have a lot of questions and answers on our website regarding deer season.
Game and Fish website, we have commonly asked questions and the answers are right there. Or just, if you have questions, we prefer you call. If you got a question, call. Call the office, call one of the wardens, if it's regarding licensing or regulations. Just give us a call.
Okay, and the most important thing during the deer season is?
Yes, and as always, the big thing is practice safety. Be safe. Know where you're shooting. When you're traveling on the roads, be aware of traffic. Don't be stopping in the middle of the roads. Just common sense safety stuff, and so that everybody goes home and has a good hunt.
A lot of great information, Bob. Thank you. The deer gun season in North Dakota opens Friday, November 8th at noon Central Time and runs through Sunday, November 24th. For more information on the deer gun season in North Dakota, visit the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov. For Chief Game Warden Bob Timian and the rest of the staff here at the Game and Fish Department, thanks for joining us for this week's Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.